Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this edition of the 42Q Partner Connect webinar series. Today, we're going to be meeting with Zebra, and we're going to be talking a little bit about how they're helping us power the connected factory. And we're going to get into a little bit and talk about some of their strategy for manufacturers and how it's aligning with 42Q and why this is such a great partnership. As I'm going through the webinar, if you have any questions, down at the bottom of the Zoom window, there's that Q&A button. If you click that, a little window will pop up and you can post any questions that you have there. We will have some time at the end of the webinar to address any questions that are asked. So feel free to ask those as we're going along. And again, we will cover those at the end. All right, so here's who you're going to be meeting with today. So most of you are familiar with myself, but if you're not, I'm Bobby Hanna, the Training and Technical Writing Manager here at 42Q. So I've been here for a little over 6 years. I've got a background that started as a technician, and then that got me over into training. And my job is to make sure that our customers get the most out of the product and they understand how it works, and how it can help them solve the issues that they're currently facing. I'm also from Zebra Technologies today. We're meeting with Stefan Potel. So Stefan, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself real quick?
Bobby, thank you for the introduction. My name is Stefan. I'm working for Zebra for about 8 years almost, being in the industry, manufacturing and logistics for the last 20 years. In my role at Zebra that I'm having for the last 3 years, I'm looking at the manufacturing market in general, looking what are the trends, what are partners where Zebra should work with, software companies, global SIs. And I'm one of the ones that is kind of fostering the relationship between 42Q and Zebra here. So thank you for having the chance today, and happy to talk to you about Connected Factory in the next couple of minutes.
Great. All right. Thank you again for joining us, Stefan. All right, so we met Stefan a little bit, so we're going to talk a little bit more with him as we go along, and I'm going to let him talk a little bit on the next slide about Zebra's vision for the connected factory and the pillars that they're kind of following for this, and then we're going to get into talking about how 42Q aligns with those Zebra pillars and kind of how one of the reasons why we kind of line up so well and partner so well. And then I'm actually going to kind of show you the Zebra and 42Q partnership in action, kind of how we do our demos using the Zebra products. And then again, at the end, we'll have some time for Q&A. So again, Stefan, if you kind of want to tell us a little bit about, these Zebra pillars and the vision you guys have at Zebra for the connected factory.
Bobby, thank you. More than happy to do that. So manufacturing for Zebra is a vertical that was a little untouched over the last couple of years, and we've started that with kind of looking into the market. We've started with a manufacturing vision study to see what are the imperatives that our customers have, where are they putting their efforts and resources in, what are the trends in the market, how these customers are reacting to them. And we've due to a couple of acquisitions over the last couple of years, we have kind of also made our portfolio better fit to the industry. So one of the major additions to the Zebra portfolio was the extension into the machine vision market. So with this, we got a portfolio where you could start with making assets identifiable. So what we are doing since 1969 is printing and reading barcodes. This is where the journey starts, and then once you have an asset that is identifiable, you can identify it through your supply chain. And then with the addition of machine vision, you can then also check on the conditions of that specific asset, be it that you can do quality control, etc., etc. And then so our portfolio has broadened massively over the last couple of years, and we then found, and we then thought, okay, we need to make it really kind of fit for purpose for very important trends that we see in the market. Hence, we have created Connected Factory, which is the overarching theme to connect silos and assets within factories that traditionally or in the past weren't that much connected. You always had bridges and breaks between certain departments, certain areas. So that's why we said, okay, let's look how can we help our customers to better connect these very different departments using technology from Zebra, but also leveraging our ecosystem of ISVs, where 42Q is a very important player. So we have identified the three pillars, which is actionable visibility. This deals around tracking and tracing assets through your production and through your supply chain. Then the second pillar here is optimized quality. This is where we are bundling our products with partners and solutions to digitize quality control with cutting-edge technology. We have neural sensors on our cameras in the meantime, where we use AI to do very, very good pre-qualification and detection of defects. And then finally, augmented workforce, where we put the worker front and center of everything we do together with our partners. So we will have wearable devices, tablets, wrist mount devices, but also having this together with software from companies like 42Q, where we are digitizing processes that in the past were quite manual or quite not digitized yet. So and these three pillars, and with these three pillars, we are of the strong opinion that we can bring a lot of value to our customers. As in manufacturing, I think the areas where the most value is created within a manufacturing plant, they are quite digitized already. There you have a lot of industrial automation in the production lines, etc., etc. But all the adjacent processes, you take plant maintenance for example, take quality control, take any adjacent process that brings material to a manufacturing line or takes material once the product is finished, take it to the next stage into your supply chain. These are areas where a lot of companies outside still have a lot of manual work, and this manual work sells as an example. And I think the demo that we're going to see later in the webinar today is also talking about how you can digitize a work cell using Zebra and 42Q. These are areas where the combination of these two companies really create benefit for our joint customers. So this is kind of how we had to structure the way we approach the market and customers, and these were the three areas where, by the nature of our products and what our partners can deliver, this is where we think this makes a lot of sense, and this is how we identify these three pillars.
Great. You know, I'm going to go to the next slide here, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how these pillars that you guys have kind of line up with what 42Q is doing, because a lot of what you're talking about is perfect fit for partnering with an MES. You know, when you talk about digitizing processes, that is what an MES does. It's essentially supposed to digitize what's happening on the shop floor. And, you know, when you and I were talking before, the way I kind of think of it is, you know, 42Q is digitizing everything on the shop floor, but Zebra is our interface into the physical world. So we need to be able to have a way to get that data from the shop floor into 42Q, and we use Zebra to be able to do that. So if we look at the Zebra pillars and kind of how 42Q lines up to that, and we talk about actionable visibility, you know, in 42Q, we give you that inventory visibility. So as you're going through consuming components, we know where those components came from, and we can track them throughout the whole process. Your asset visibility, these machines that are on your shop floor are critical to making sure that your processes are run smoothly and that you get a good quality product that's out. So you need to make sure that your PMs are done correctly, they're scheduled properly, your maintenance personnel know what to do. You know, on the line, that frontline worker needs to be able to report that machine's down very quickly and easily. In 42Q, you can do that from the operator interface. Production visibility, again, having that comprehensive view of your production process, where everything's going, your WIP information, all of that. That's one of the things you're going to get with 42Q for that. And I've got a couple of products next to that, just to, you know, Zebra makes a ton of products, but we're going to talk about a few. And these are some of the ones you're going to see in our demo next. And when we talk about the actual visibility, there we've got the scanner and then the Zebra Cloud Connect printers. Everything starts with being able to scan that unit to start the work on it. And, you know, one of the things that's critical, and I know Stefan will agree with this, is the idea behind all this is so that the frontline worker can concentrate on doing their job, not putting the data into a system. We don't want them to think about our system the same way that Zebra doesn't want you to think about using their products. They want to make it intuitive. And with the Zebra scanners, it is everybody can pick that up and they immediately know what to do with it. You don't have to think about it. So it makes it very easy to be able to scan those barcodes, get everything started with the Zebra Cloud Connect printers. You can set up these printers very quickly and easily in 42Q. So if you need to add another printer somewhere, it's very easy to do so. And then again, with auto commands, you can have where if that operator scans that and a label needs to be printed, it's done automatically. That operator does not have to think about that. So it's one of the great things. And when we talk about the scanners too, we can talk about how this kind of partnership started. So, Zebra is a manufacturer, which is great that the fact that they are making products for manufacturers because they understand these manufacturing processes. So at 42Q's parent company, Sanmina, the partnership started because the Sanmina is a contract manufacturer and we were manufacturing the scanners for Zebra. That's kind of how this partnership all started. And we know this, we've got quality products because we know we're building it. So, do you want to talk a little bit about that more, Stefan?
Well, I think I can talk a little bit about the partnership, but as well, maybe I can just take a little step back on the actionable visibility topic that you were talking, because I think you made a very, very good point. Customers have an increasing demand of data points as they want to get more transparency into their supply chain, into the steps that products are taking through a manufacturing process. The need to know kind of in real time where am I with my manufacturing process, right? If you have manual working cells, you need to make sure, or customers have the requirement now to really track and trace each and every step that workers are doing, ideally to identify defects immediately after they have happened and not further down in your process, when you then have to scrap and rip off and kind of scrap a lot of product, and you're getting very, very inefficient. But on the other hand, and this is why it is so important that we simplify the access to it, is the workers should not do multiple additional steps because they have no time for that, and you will dramatically reduce the acceptance if you say, yeah, because we have a new traceability requirement, you now have to scan five times more. The most ergonomic scanner will not raise acceptance for that, right? So we can do whatever we want with our products. If there is no interface that can easily consume that, and we can think about manual scanning using handheld scanners. You can also integrate 42Q, and you see that on the optimized quality pillar that you have mentioned here on the slide. We can also have fixed industrial scanners where you can kind of mount a scanner on top of the work cell, and while the worker is taking the product with the barcode on top of it, it can automatically identify that I'm now in the next step. So these are the things that we both as companies are working on, and I think having Sanmina being one of our suppliers, and you're more than a supplier, you are a manufacturing partner, right? I think we also started to implement it in these processes between Zebra and Sanmina, to use your software and our products to control the manufacturing process of Zebra products. So I think this shows that this is truly a very beneficial partnership between the two companies.
Yes. Yeah, and when you talk about, you brought up a very good point too. When we talk about the quality of the data, it's just human nature. If we make something difficult to do, people are going to be less likely to do it. So, the idea is that we need to make it as easy as possible for that frontline worker to get the data in there, so that way that they do it every single time. Because if you make something difficult, people are going to find shortcuts, they're going to find workarounds. So we need to make sure it's as easy and intuitive as possible to make sure that we get that good quality data in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So if we move down to the optimized quality, so with 42Q, you get digitized inspection. So this is either through machines, or if you have personnel sitting there doing that, the inspection, we can set up test logs for that to be able to make sure that those are enforced and that the thresholds that are set for these are actually met before that unit can actually progress. The track and trace. So knowing where this unit went through every single thing that happened, who did it, and then also knowing where's everything currently at, being able to do all that track and trace within 42Q and make sure everything's quality. The quality management, so we can integrate with QMS systems to be able to track this quality data in there. And we give you the things to implement corrective actions through that. And I've got a picture there of the Zebra Vision camera, as Stefan's been mentioning. So this is one of the ways that we can help with quality, is being able to integrate with that camera so that you can visually inspect with that to make sure that it's meeting the criteria that you have with that.
And I think maybe if I can quickly interject there, I think, Bobby, also here it is the ease of use of your software and your solution to make the accessibility very simple. But also when you think about vision systems in the past, you always need to have vision engineers and very high qualified people to make these systems work. Still, we need to respect the physics, of course. We may need some extra lighting to really make it work, but the workflow within the sensors, within that smart cameras today, is kind of a low-code, no-code platform. So it's very easy to build the machine vision processes that you need that then generate the data that gets back into the 42Q system. So this is something which dramatically lowers the bar to really use high sophisticated machine vision and quality control systems and not make it a big fuss as it was in the past. So this is something that our machine vision portfolio and the Zebra Aurora software brings to the table, and that's then absolutely interconnected with the 42Q system. So this is really a game changer in the industry.
Thanks, Devin. All right, and then we move down to the third pillar there, which is the augmented workforce, which is the improved agility and flexibility, and that's something that 42Q definitely brings. So the frontline connectivity is, that's what we are, is giving that frontline worker the information they need, and we're trying to make it as easy as possible for them to consume it. So if they've got work instructions that pertain to certain things they're doing, we map directly to that. So that way, when they're working on that step, they know exactly where they are in the work instructions. We make sure that the data that they need to gather is presented clearly and easily so that they know what they need to do. Again, we want them to be able to concentrate on doing their job, not getting that data into the system. Getting the data that's in the system is important to the management and making sure that we have that traceability, we can improve the processes. That frontline operator just wants to be able to concentrate on doing their job. So that's what we're trying to make easy with this. The improved agility. Being a cloud-based system, one of the nice things is, coming from the design of a contract manufacturer, we know that sometimes systems are built out in certain places. You might want to get the process built out, smoothed out, and then you need to be able to move that to another plant or another line. One of the great things about 42Q with the cloud-based system is we make it easy to do that. If you need to move it over to your other plant, we give you a way to do that. So it's the improved agility of being able to set things up and then move them wherever you need within there. And then the flexibility of the modules within our system. Our system is set up as a pay-as-you-go. So if you want to try out one of our other modules to, statistical process control, you can try that out, see if it's going to work with what you need. If you don't need it, that's fine. Stop using it. You don't pay for it. So we give you that flexibility to try out all the modules within our system, see if they work for you. If not, no problem, no contract, goes away the next month. So we're giving a lot of that flexibility with that. And one of the things I've got listed here is one of the Zebra ruggedized tablets. This is one of the things that makes it very easy for being able to have that frontline worker be where they need to be and be able to get that data. And, they've also, Stefan mentioned about the wearable scanners and things like that. These are all things that are meant to make it easy for that frontline worker to be able to do their job. You're going to see in our next slide here, one of the Zebra tablets, they've got them in different sizes. They're ruggedized. They're meant for the manufacturing floor. Stefan, do you have anything to add here before I go over and show the demo?
No, I think we should roll at the demo, because then the people see it in action, and I think it also proves why an enterprise tablet is something different than a consumer tablet that's brought into a manufacturing plant. So that's just the thing I want to mention. Yeah.
And one thing I do want to mention here too is, so this is a demo that was recorded at the Hanover Messe show last month. And this is not a demo that we were doing for Zebra. This is how we normally do our demos. You're going to see it's kind of a simplistic thing. It's done at a trade show. So it's just a stuffed animal that he's assembling just to kind of show the process. But you're going to get a good idea here of how we work with the Zebra products. And again, I want you to notice as Simone is doing this demo, he's not having to think about any of the stuff he's doing with interacting. When he's using the scanner, when the label prints, the vision camera, things like that, he's not having to think about that. He's just having to, he can talk, he can do whatever the other things he needs to do. So I'm going to go ahead and let this play. This video is about 3 minutes long. So here we go.
Hello and welcome to the Nova Exhibition 2025. Today we want to show you how to assemble a Tiger, inclusive our quality inspections through machine vision, and finally how the packaging process looks like. At the first step, we have to dress up the Tiger, so we will select our serial number for this product. Within 42Q, you're going to see visually what you have to do next. On the left side, you get instructions about what kind of parameters you have to enter into the system. And so he's asking, first of all, what kind of animal do I assemble today? So it's our mascot, Arthur. So I'm going to select the serial number. The next step is, okay, select the t-shirt color you put on the Tiger. So also there, I select now a white shirt. And the next step is put the white shirt onto the Tiger. That's what I'm going to do. And here we go. The Tiger is ready to go for the final inspection. I'm going to check the box like that the Tiger is well dressed in order to finalize this process step. Once that's done, I get a serial number for this product, and through that serial number, we do all the track and tracing throughout the production process. So behind the serial number, we know, for example, that this is a Tiger with a white shirt and not a Tiger with a red or a black shirt. I'll show you a little bit more at the next step. So here you're going to see the next step, which is the quality inspection. For this, we have a machine vision camera. So, and as I said already, all the informations about the Tiger are linked to this serial number. So before we inspect the Tiger, we give the right serial number to the system so that he knows, okay, behind the serial number should be a Tiger with a white shirt. After the system recognizes the serial number, we see that there is no test result right now. Afterwards, we put the Tiger under the camera. He's inspecting everything. The camera is recognizing that this is a white Tiger and knows that everything is good and that you get a pass. If you would have a Tiger with a black or a red shirt on it, there would be a fail and you would have to go through a rework process.
All right, there we go. All right, so as you can see in that demo, and again, it's usually you're not going to use a vision camera just to inspect a t-shirt color, obviously, but you can kind of get an idea of the things you can do with that. Usually, you're going to have a lot more points that camera is looking for, but as you can see, it was very easy, and Simone didn't even have to think about it. He just it knew what the serial number was. It knew what information to look for. He put the product over there. It does the test and fail based on that. He didn't have to think about it. So that's one of the great things that we can get through integrating with that vision camera. And as you saw, the scanner, again, he didn't have to think about it. It's intuitive to be able to pick that up, scan, do what you need to do. The Zebra Cloud Connect printer that was sitting there, when you got to that point, it automatically printed the label, grabbed that off. You saw the Zebra ruggedized tablets. So, and again, as I mentioned before, this is not something we were doing for Zebra. This is the way we always do our demos. So I don't know, Stefan, you want to kind of add anything to that, and then I'll talk a little bit about this slide here.
I think just to mention that this was just one variation of such a production process. I think the beauty is that you can really you saw the setup was quite simple, and it was really also from how to set it up for a fair. It was not rocket science, right? Of course, you could choose different devices based on your on your scenario, but I think the combination of these state-of-the-art technologies, including machine vision now, make it that easy and that accessible for users, is something that has really lowered the barriers to go and test and try these new technologies, because here you can really easily transform your operation from manual, clunky interfaces, be it Excel, be it human input, into ERP, MES systems, really use state-of-the-art and easy to configure technology today to make your operations a lot more digitized and efficient. And I think I'm handing back to you, Bobby. I think this is a great starter that you have here.
Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, so this is our, when we're talking about digitizing the factory floor, you have to start somewhere. And so we have something called the Digital Factory Accelerator. And so this is a 90-day proof of concept. What we do is we come in, meet with your team, we map out one of your manufacturing lines or VSMs, and it's a proof of concept. So we map everything out, have you start running things through this so that you can start seeing the data that you can get for that track, trace, and genealogy, being able to manage your shop orders, your route management. So this allows you to try it out, see what it's going to get, and then when we know it's going to help you. So when it does, we can then build it out to your other lines from there. So again, it's a fixed price, fixed scope, fixed timeline, 30 days to implement, 60 days to try it out, and it's very low risk. Again, we know it's going to work for you, but if for some reason it doesn't, again, there's no contract or anything like that. This is a 90-day trial. So this is a great way to start getting into that digitizing your shop floor, and being able to get that data out of that is through the DFX. If you're already a Zebra customer, you can get in touch with them. They'll get you to us. If you're looking for this, we can get you started on the DFX, and we can recommend the Zebra products that are going to help you be able to get that data in, again, easily without your frontline worker having to think about it.
I think just to mention that a lot of our products, so where it makes sense, have these cloud and IoT connectors. So it's not something that so it's ready to go, right? So our devices seamlessly connect into the 42Q system. You could even, if you go and try 42Q, and we can make an assessment of your potentially existing Zebra estate, and we can then take these devices most likely and get you started. So of course we would like to get more devices, it's clear, but I think just to get the system going, to do the Digital Factory Accelerator, there's always a very good chance that our devices are already compatible, and can you can start using them and generating data from day one.
Absolutely. All right, so here's some contact info if you would like to get a hold of myself for the 42Q side. If you would like to talk for Zebra, there's Stefan's information there. We've got a couple questions here to get started, and Stefan, you had already kind of started mentioning one of them. So that was, how do the Zebra products interface with 42Q? So especially when we're talking about the tablets and the scanners, they're plug and play. So it's very easy to set those up. Our system recognizes that as the scanner that's going in. So that is very simple. The Zebra Cloud Connect printers are also very simple. You create a print queue in our system that matches to that printer queue in the Zebra Cloud Connect printer, and then those match up and you can start printing labels. So again, that's another very easy one. The vision camera that communicates via APIs. We have those available. It's a little bit more in depth, of course, because of the amount of data, but it's communicates via APIs. We have a setup for that. It's also another thing that it's very easy to set up and use. So, it's in most cases, a lot of the Zebra products, especially when we talk about the scanners, the tablets, they're all plug and play. But the printers are also very easy to set up, and the vision cameras as well.
Yeah, and I think maybe just to mention one of the advantages that might not be always present, right? When you are using enterprise products, they all come with enterprise software. So while we're all using Android, of course, because this is state of the art in the industry, I think the set of tools that make the user experience using software like 42Q with their great interface, but also to shield the devices, to make them. We have solutions on it like Zebra Guardian, where you can authenticate using facial biometrics and then kind of do a single sign-on into the 42Q system, a facial authentication on a shared device is something that's very unique, because normally when you do facial authentication, you have your iPhone or your Android phone, your personal one, where you carry these information. So these tools that Zebra makes available to you and to us, our customers, kind of also limits the kind of, or makes it even more easy to access these enterprise applications. So that's something that I think it was mentioning, and that's what I said before. This is a difference between using a consumer device, which may look economically beneficial, but on the long run, if you look at the TCO, compare that to an enterprise device, I think the enterprise is really a lot more efficient and a lot more economically efficient than any consumer device.
Thanks, Devin. And we got one other quick question. I know we're at the top of the hour, or the bottom of the hour here. And the question is, does 42Q support labels in the ZPL format? So if those of you aren't familiar, ZPL is a Zebra printer language. Yes, we absolutely do. So we have our label engine, which when you take your ZPL, you put it into our label engine, and then you map the placeholders to the fields in 42Q, which makes it very easy and very beneficial, because a lot of times serial numbers are, composed of different parts as you're going along. So you need to be able to have that algorithm done, in real time as you're scanning stuff. So we have our algorithm tool in 42Q that will create that, send it over to the label engine, put in those placeholders with the part numbers, the dates, things like that, and print out that label. So absolutely. And I believe that's it. So we're right at the time here. So I want to again thank Stefan for joining us. This is a great partnership between Zebra and 42Q. So I'm glad we finally got to have this webinar.
Yeah, thank you, Bobby, for having me today. And I can just encourage customers who are going to see that here or on LinkedIn, please reach out to us. Both of us, we will then make the roads into these projects. So thank you very, very much for having me today.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. And thanks everyone for joining. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.